said also, please state your preferences. And I said, ugly men, because they never complain, you know. So that's what I got. I got ugly men.
Hello there. Imogen Cunningham began photographing in 1901. She was 18 years old at the time, and she got a mail order 4x5-inch camera. During the first decade of the 20th century, photography would have been considered a daring career choice for a woman. The field was dominated by men, and at the time it was thought that the complexity and the physical demands of the photographic process were beyond most women. She went on to become a founding member of the F64 group and established herself as one of the most innovative photographers of her time. Cunningham was born in 1883 in Portland, Oregon. She studied chemistry in Seattle at the University of Delaware. The university didn't have a fine arts course, so she chose to develop the technical skills. One can see in her work how this grounding in science expanded her idea of work, and her compositions are, especially her modernist phase, were kind of advanced by her knowledge of geometry and mathematics. After graduating, she became a photo assistant at the Edward Curtis studio. He was a famous photographer and ethnologist who photographed the American West and Native American people. She learned firsthand the business aspects of running a portrait studio. After 2 years at the Curtis studio, she received a scholarship to study photochemistry for a year in Dresden. There she formally studied the photographic process and became especially proficient in the technique of platinum printing. When she returned to the States, Cunningham opened her own photographic studio in Seattle. While developing her business and producing portraits of Seattle's elite, she worked on her own style of work, and at that stage the style that was popular was pictorialism. It was an international movement at the time which was defined by a soft focus, mythological, maybe biblical feel. And the overall kind of mood was romantic. And the idea was to replicate through photography the look that was achieved by painters and sketch artists. Throughout her career, she has refused to be restricted and was constantly adapting her style and also subject matter. During this stage of her career, she took nude photographs of both men and women that explored views of sexuality and gender roles. This was a bold choice during the mid-1910s when female nude studies were made exclusively by male artists. And male nudes done by female artists was practically unheard of. It caused a bit of a scandal, but she wasn't shaken by that at all. In 1917, she moved with her husband and 3 children to San Francisco. There she shifted her focus to more modernistic style. Modernistic photography was moving away from the soft, painterly feel of the pictorialists. This style of photography embraced the camera as an essentially mechanical tool, encouraging straightforward images of modern life. There was an emphasis on clarity and precision, and lighting and shadow were often really important to emphasize this. Cunningham's interest was in the geometric and the abstract. Her circumstances at the time were really defining the direction of her work. Because she had 3 children at home to look after, and so she had to spend the time within her home environment. So she chose to look at plant life and the architectural structure of that life. While she was living in the Bay Area, she became friends with other influential photographers like Edward Weston and Ansel Adams. And together with others, they co-founded a collective that was dubbed F64. Obviously, it was named after the smallest aperture that one could have on a 4x5 or 8x10 camera, and it provides the greatest depth of field. They were determined to show the world, as Edward Weston said, as it is. Her botanicals were central to this period of her work, but she had a creatively restless mind and was always on the outlook for new directions to take her photography. She didn't want to be trapped by a particular style or subject matter. When you dissect these photographs of natural objects, you can see that her eye is composing very geometrically and graphically. She also used the same formal eye when she photographed architecture, and particularly when photographing industrial landscapes. These spaces are designed to fit the needs of engineers, so the lines are in clear, distinct patterns, and the structures are formal and functional. In 1934, Cunningham was invited to New York by the editor of Vanity Fair to take photographs for the magazine. When she refused to postpone a trip to accommodate her husband, he filed for divorce, ending their 19-year-old marriage. While in New York, she started to experiment with street photography. She would carry on this work later when she returned to San Francisco. You can see from this image that she had a sense of humor. The reflection of her old face and wild hair are juxtaposed with these youthful undergarments. She also started to receive a few lucrative assignments in Los Angeles, making portraits of Hollywood stars. In 1945, Ansel Adams invited Cunningham to accept a position at the first fine art photography department at the California School of Fine Arts. Dorothy Lang and Minor White also joined the faculty. Another of her themes was self-portraiture. Looking closely at her work now, there's a very good chance that Vivian Maier was aware of Cunningham's work, because there are two strong parallels: the street photography angle and their fixation on taking multiple self-portraits. They both didn't fit neatly into society's framework for what a conventional woman should be.
Well, I don't think there is a formula for a fine photograph, for every person has a different idea about one. I always think the finest photograph, from my way of thinking of what I do myself, is the one I'm going to do, not the one that I have done. So as soon as I've done it, it's finished. But I'm hoping someday to do a fine one.
Imogen Cunningham was a prolific and versatile photographer who tirelessly explored the medium until her death at the age of 93. There was an elegance to her work that draws you in to explore the content that she's offering. I'm going to end off now, but I'm going to put up a series of portraits that I think are really worth looking at. Thanks for joining me. Please like and subscribe. It really helps. If you want to have a look at my one-on-one mentoring program, please look at the description. And okay, I'll see you next time. Cheers.